Burrow is a certainty, right? Burrow won to the Bengals, and I think everyone can roundly agree Burrow is going to be a great player. Something that was really interesting to me, anyway, was CBS Sports did a list. It was sort of look, I mean, this is kind of the time of year where, regardless of if there was a shutdown or not, you're going to see these types of lists and whatnot. But there was a buyer beware segment on CBS Sports. And so they listed prospects in this draft that you'd say, buyer beware. And they listed 3 players from LSU. Chaisson, Grant Delpit, Kristian Fulton. And that surprised me. Now, Chaisson I kind of understand a little because you have a smaller sample size, right? He had the injury his sophomore year, and he played big in big moments as a redshirt sophomore here in 2019. But he played big in big moments, but it's not like you have 3 full years of tape. You've got a freshman year where he was a backup to Arden Key, a sophomore year where he played 1 game and was injured, and then obviously this year in 2019. But physically, if you were to build an edge rusher in a lab, it would look a lot like Chaisson. Delpit stuns me, and I'll continue to say this, that for me, aside from Joe Burrow, if there is a no doubt surefire, cannot miss prospect in this LSU class, it's Grant Delpit. He was everybody's top 10 pick in the draft before this season, and then guy played half the season on a bum ankle, and it showed. But when he's right, we saw what he was in 2018, and that was the best safety LSU's ever had in a season at LSU. I'm not saying best career, whatever. I'm saying there's never been a safety who's had a better season in LSU football history than what Grant Delpit did in 2018. He was a unanimous All-American. It's not even really debatable. Fulton is an interesting one as well. I think Kristian Fulton's going to be a really, really good NFL player. I think he's a fantastic cornerback. And Pro Football Focus spit out some numbers earlier today about Kristian Fulton, about how against the best receivers he played this year, he only allowed like 3 receptions for 39 yards. It was stunning, the production he had this year. But still, I understand why, considering the suspension and the fact that he was playing opposite a freshman and they kept targeting him instead of the freshman. I do understand why there are going to be some of those questions. For me, the one guy in this LSU draft class that I would say buyer beware, and it's not to say that I don't think he's going to be a really good player or have a great career, but the one buyer beware would be Patrick Queen. Because Patrick Queen was a backup and a special teams player his first 2 years on campus, and even into 2019, it was only when Michael Divinity was suspended that Queen became a starter. And so you only have like half a season of a sample size. And in the biggest games, he flashed. I mean, he was the MVP of the national championship game. And, dude, when you're running down Travis Etienne out on the perimeter, you're showing to every NFL team you can do it. Like, physically, you got the chops. That's not even a question with Queen. And Chris Trapasso from CBS was on with us last week and said, Queen's, I don't even think he's undersized. You can go back and listen to that or watch it on our YouTube page. But the fact of the matter is, with Queen, it's the smallest sample size. That's the one guy I would say, are you sure that he can replicate that type of production and productivity over a 16-game season over the next 8 to 10 years? And I think there's a degree of risk with every prospect, right? That's part of the draft, is weighing risk and reward and what investment you want to make based on what you know about that prospect and what you think he will be. And I think Queen is going to be fantastic because he is what linebackers in the NFL are now. This guy who played running back, because you better be athletic like that to be able to cover a back coming out of the backfield and tackle sideline to sideline. You don't want a big 6'4", 260-pound linebacker anymore that's just taking on guards and thumping people up the middle. It just doesn't exist anymore. So Queen is what linebackers are in the NFL. I think he's going to be great. But if you're talking buyer beware, smaller sample size, you know less about that guy than anybody else in the draft class, at least those that are projected to go as high as Patrick Queen is. Get those answers a week from Thursday. I'm pumped for it. I love the NFL draft, if you can't tell.